So welcome back. In the previous video we talked about the factoring company. Now is the time to explain the supply chain. Maybe you heard about supply chain before, maybe you're confused about, but I will put things in a very simple way so that you can understand, and I did the same way. I was taking things simple and explaining the simple way to me that I can understand, because it's a huge. Supply chain, as name implies, is a chain of something, that there's a process involved, right? Then there's a production and then there's a distribution. So there's a process. Supply chain is the sequence of processes involved in production, right? Production and distribution of a commodity. I would say highlighted the commodity. Pay attention that it's not a product yet. Maybe it's a raw material, comes to the shipper and then it goes to the manufacturer, then goes to the distribution center. We'll be talking about this in a second, and then it goes to the wholesaler and the retailer, and again at the end it's a end user. And why we're talking about this? Remember, we said, transportation industry, it's a game. It's like a soccer game. So we have to identify each player's role in order to understand their responsibility to play, we said, confidently. In order to succeed, we need to know the rules and players of this game. So let's say the company, it's a hypothetical company called ABC Inc. In the first, I would say in the first place, in the chain or in the process, or you can call it level, whatever makes sense for you. We have a shipper who ships raw materials to the manufacturer, and the second position, I would say, manufacturer mix goods, and then now they become a product, and product goes to distribution centers. There are huge distribution centers. And then from distribution centers, or you can, if you don't know what is distribution center, you can think about like warehouse. It's like a huge warehouse where each manufacturer send their goods and products to distribution centers, and from distribution centers it goes to wholesalers. Or warehouses, a little bit smaller, you can think of that way, and then from wholesaler warehouse goes to retailers warehouse. Retailer example is it may be Walmart, right? And then of course from the Walmart, goods and products goes to end user. We called consumer, right? So then the question right now in the supply chain is, okay, where broker comes in, where carriers or tracking companies comes in, tracking company comes in, or where the dispatcher comes in. Between shipper and manufacturer, then there can be a broker involved. Why? Because broker is a middleman, right? It can be here, or it can be here, it can be here, or here, right? And what about the carrier? Carriers involved from point A until that product delivers end user, because it depends on the product. Let's say you bought something big or furniture in a Walmart, right? So you need them to deliver to your home, and carriers, of course, delivers that product to your home. It's just an example. What about dispatchers? Well, now it's even more interesting, because dispatchers can be anywhere here. Why? Shippers busy shipping things, right? They have several dispatchers in their shipping facilities. I have many of my friends working with shippers, specifically with raw materials. They work with shippers directly. And of course manufacturers also who made, let's say, goods and products, they wanted to ship things, and they have their own dispatchers. And distribution centers, they are huge. They have, there are a couple of dispatchers in their facility, not specifically in the warehouse or where the distribution center is located, but they can be working from their own offices, or maybe they are independent dispatchers working from home, right? And of course, the wholesalers is the same thing as like a distribution centers. They have their dispatchers. Dispatchers, remember we talked about, they're the ones who manages the freight, right? So freight everywhere, right? From point A until the point E. Freight is everywhere. And because a truck dispatcher manages the freight, it can be anywhere, right? So by simply knowing this, supply chain, it will clear out almost everything, because now you know not only you can work from home, but if you prefer like a corporate style work, so you can go to shippers or you can go to the manufacturers if you have the skill or the skills how to dispatch trucks, how to manage loads, so you can go anywhere, right? It's market, it's huge. What we said, that market is about $800 billion industry. So in the next video, we'll be talking about transportation industry with this game more specifically. We'll be talking about consumers, what are the differences between consumer and a customer. So I'll talk about more transportation industry in the next video. I'll see you then.